And welcome back to our CNN special report, Turning the Tide. Joining me again right now, Anderson Cooper, who is on one of the beaches where the tsunami hit, Barrawala, Sri Lanka. Anderson, before we went to the break, you were talking about many of these families facing the painful reality of being handed remains of relatives, obviously, whose bodies they couldn't possibly recognize. But how active is the search for the missing at this hour?
It's a good question, and I'm not really clear on the answer, because there is no really, at least here in Sri Lanka, no sort of central organized spot where somebody can go to find a loved one. You know, the government has talked here about assembling a book because they've been photographing these bodies as they bury them. I mean, you really don't find bodies, at least in the western part of the country, lying around like you did earlier in the week. They buried the bodies, but they've taken fingerprints from them, and they've photographed the bodies as well. So you really, they talk about assembling these photos in some sort of a book that people would be able to go and look at and look through, but it hasn't happened. I mean, it's been well over a week, and still, you know, the search is a very individual, a very personal thing. People go from hospital to hospital, they go to schools, they go to churches, but they haven't been able to find most of the people that they're looking for. I talked to one mother just yesterday, and I mean, she said to me, "What about my daughter? What about my daughter?" And she kept repeating that. And what do you say to that? You know, there's not an answer. There's nothing you can do. You just have to wait.
And unfortunately, the tragedy is compounded because many of these same people who are looking for loved ones have been left homeless by the tsunami. Tell us about the status of the hundreds of thousands of people whose homes were all but wiped out.
Yeah, you know, it is. I'm sorry. There are stray dogs wherever you go, and there's a dog that's playing with me here. I'm sorry. It's literally. Hey,
Anderson.
You know, it's actually. I mean, it's funny, but it's also sad at the same time. I mean, they're these stray dogs, and they're hungry and they're looking for food. No matter where you go, you see them all over the rubble. Man, this is just ridiculous. Hey you. I'm sorry. You see them, you know, going through the rubble looking for food, and you see cats going through the rubble looking for food. You know, it's one of those stories you just don't see much about. But the animals are just all over this place, and as you can see, they're very persistent.
And like so many, well, I can well understand the distraction, and I think one of the things Anderson touched on earlier today is, you know, not only are those animals hungry, you've got these hundreds of thousands of homeless people also who are in dire need of some food. We're going to take a short break here, and when we come back, we'll talk about the need for more aid in South Asia. We'll be right back.